is this? Am I in the party tank right now? What's going on? What is this?
I see it.
Look at this. Oh, that is... This is what I mean. He's going after me. He's not going after you.
P-box.
Whoa! Damn!
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Well, we've got a big week coming in WoT Console. Next Tuesday, we will see the introduction of the tech tree wheeled vehicles, the French light tanks. Now, I think, depending on your point of view, this is either a good or a bad thing, but either way, they are coming. Last Tuesday, we saw the first Tier 8 premium wheeled vehicle, the EBR name that's too long for me to remember. That thing is in the game. Everyone's had a chance to play it, obviously if you've bought it. If you haven't bought it, you haven't played it, obviously. But it's here. And if you've watched my review video, you'll know that driving, controlling, and fighting with this type of vehicle is very different to anything else we've ever seen in the game. With that in mind, and ahead of the tech tree line being released next week, I thought I would provide you guys with my top 5 tips for playing wheeled vehicles. So jumping straight in, tip number 1, cruise control. These vehicles are slippery and tend to turn on you without warning, and if you try to drive them by pushing with your controller, if you try to drive them with your left stick pushed forward, you'll be all over the place. I guarantee it. You might be able to control it for a little bit, but you will reach a point where you just lose control and you're dead. If you activate cruise control, you'll see that this icon appears in the bottom left of your screen and the vehicle will accelerate on its own. All you need to do then with your left stick on the controller is steer it left and right. You don't have to push the stick forward, and it's much easier to control the vehicle with just left and right movements and cruise control active. Now, to deactivate cruise control, all you need to do is pull back on the left stick. Alright, tip number 2 is rapid mode. It isn't immediately obvious when you look at the stats for these vehicles that it has 2 drive modes. The top speed shown by the in-game stats state that the top speed when the vehicle is not in rapid mode. That's what the top speed is stated as, and I think it's 63 kilometers an hour. But this thing can get up to almost 90 kilometers an hour, so that's almost a 50% gain in your top speed. The extra speed is excellent. It's really, really good for getting into position, and it does somewhat make up for the lacking view range of this vehicle. This does have the lowest view range of all the Tier 8 lights, but this speed does make up for it a little bit. But the downside to rapid mode is that your maneuverability in tight spaces is severely reduced, and your gun accuracy is severely reduced as well. Tip number 3, consumables. This vehicle is 80% wheels and has very, very little armor. When you lose a wheel because you get shot, you really notice it, and it is important to keep this vehicle fully repaired, fully crewed, and performing at its best at all times. That is imperative, and this is why I would recommend the large repair kit, rations, and the large med kit. Alright, tip number 4, fighting style. The fighting style for wheeled vehicles is very different to other lights. Other tanks are more forgiving, I would say. In other light tanks, you can have a damage track and still perform at your best. That doesn't work with wheeled vehicles. Given how easily you can be taken out of the game, you must play these vehicles cautiously. You really do need to know what you're doing in the game to play effectively with these things. keep your distance unless you are certain that you can pull off a close attack. You want fairly open ground, and you should begin to you should start by going into the engagement with rapid mode active, and only when you're at your firing range should you deactivate rapid mode, and with rapid mode deactivated, fire your shots, reactivate rapid mode, and retreat while you reload. If you find yourself in a situation where you can get in but you don't really have a way of getting out, an alternative is to, with rapid mode deactivated, you can use the excellent maneuverability that this vehicle has got. This vehicle will turn so well at mid speeds. You can outturn pretty much everything, and that is what you can use to wait out your reload. Just keep outturning the opponent, just keep driving around them while you reload. Obviously you do run the risk of driving past their gun at some point, but with the speed and the maneuverability, what I found is it's very, very difficult for anyone to hit you. If your consumables are on cooldown, you've got to be very cautious about getting into a fight, and in some ways the fighting style is determined by your consumables cooldown. If you've got your med kit on cooldown, if you've got your repair kit on cooldown, you don't really want to be getting into a fight, because if you do get into a fight and you do get hit, you need to be able to quickly hit the repair kit so you can get out, or hit the med kit so you can get your driver back, or your gunner, or whatever it is. You need to be able to get in and out really quickly. That is the fighting style for this vehicle. Alright, lastly, tip number 5. Know when to back off. I think this is a tip not just for these tanks, but every vehicle in the game. You've got to know when it's not safe to push forward any further. And I'd say especially in light tanks, you can typically get away with going in a little too deep into enemy territory. You might take a hit or two, but nonetheless you can normally make it out that engagement alive. That's not really the case with wheeled vehicles. I would say a wheeled vehicle can handle at most I would say you can handle 2 enemy tanks. One enemy tank being your target, and the other just being there. More of an annoyance, really. Any more than 2 enemy tanks and you run the risk of being hit, and because your tank is basically a gun sitting on 8 massive wheels, if you do get hit, you're likely to get hit in the wheel, which means your maneuverability will be reduced, and before you know it, you're nothing more than just a smoking wreck on the ground, and you're dead. You're gone. So, knowing when to back off, or knowing when to not even get involved in the first place, that's what I would say, and that does take practice. So, there you have it. Those are my top 5 tips for wheeled vehicles. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave it a like, if not a dislike. If you want to support me further, please check out the link to my Patreon in the description. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and as always, I hope you're all still keeping safe, and I will see you out there.